everybody, it's Rebecca here at Why Mermaids, and today I'm gonna be reviewing The Neverland Wars by Audrey Greathouse. Neverland Wars, magic exists, but in a very limited quantity. So adults are trying to prevent children from using magic unintentionally by creating things like Neverland and Santa Claus and whatnot, and instead are using that magic for more adult problems like solving the financial crisis. So at one point, there's the main character Gwen, and her younger sister gets taken to Neverland with Peter Pan, and so Gwen has to go to Neverland to try to get her back. This story is very much a coming of age, do I want to grow up or do I want to stay a child kind of inner struggle. It's Peter Pan syndrome, it's classic Peter Pan syndrome, and it is a Peter Pan retelling. So our main character is Gwen. She is a 16-year-old girl who is excited about her crush with the potential homecoming king, and she's kind of living in a day-to-day existence as a normal teenager, except she's kind of dealing with the struggles of, is growing up worth it, or should she just embrace her inner childhood? She has a younger sister who's about 8 years younger than she is, and she's kind of living vicariously through her and seeing the childlike innocence in her, and she misses that. Now, I did receive this book from the author from Clean Teen Publishing as part of the booktube tours to talk about and review on my channel, and this book does come out May 9th, which is very exciting because that's today when I'm filming and uploading this, so yay, you can go get a copy of it if you're really excited. And there's a giveaway that is attached to this. There's more information for that down in the description below, but if you buy a copy of The Neverland Wars, you do get extra entries. So if you're gonna buy it, you may as well enter into the giveaway some more, because you might as well. You're gonna get some cool stuff if you win, so check that out down in the description below. So my likes for this book, it is a Peter Pan retelling. If you've been following me or watching any of my videos recently, you'll know that I've been kind of in a big Peter Pan retelling kick. This is the second or third one I've read lately, so I love Peter Pan retellings. Peter Pan is one of my favorite stories, and so it was really nice to kind of get to dive back into this world, and this is much more of a classic retelling. Unlike Nora and Kettle, which I reviewed last month, which was kind of set in the 50s America, this is set in the present day, but it does have Neverland and Peter Pan and a Wendy character, which is Gwen, and it kind of goes to Neverland and kind of deals with a lot of the same things that were in the original book, which I really enjoyed. It definitely evoked the same kind of feeling as the original story, which I really appreciated, and it was kind of fun to pick up on, like, oh, I know that. I know that. The writing is also beautiful, like beautiful. It's beautifully written, it's engrossing, it's very lyrical, it makes me want to just read all over again. Like, all the words just are very flowy and very natural, but also just very gripping and enticing, and just like they flow off the page really easily, and so the writing itself is just very beautiful. I also just really love the theme of growing up and not wanting to grow up, and that whole Peter Pan syndrome. Everybody kind of goes through this as you get to be an adult. You're like, I don't really want to be an adult. Adulting is hard. Like, this sucks. I want to be a kid and just play make-believe and have adventures and whatnot, and so I really appreciated those themes, and I also appreciated the idea of technology versus magic, and kind of all of those themes put together about living constantly in technology as opposed to just letting your imagination run free and just living in the moment. And I do really appreciate that, and it struck me in a way that I didn't necessarily anticipate it for, but I really enjoyed it. I also just really loved the sense of adventure that came along with it. I mean, they're in Neverland, and Neverland equals adventure, and who doesn't love a good adventure story? And so I just really enjoyed the little adventures that they kind of went on. The Indians and the mermaids and just all the different adventures, I just really liked that. It just kind of gave you that spirit of being young again. Now, some things that I didn't necessarily like. I had some problems with the development and some inconsistencies among it. I felt like there wasn't a lot of development of the plot itself. The plot is very much character development rather than plot, but if you're looking at the idea of this Neverland Wars, where you have the adults in the real world are kind of fighting for the magic of Neverland, and they're fighting to keep magic, and so they're like sending attacks on Neverland, but you don't really get a full sense of that except for like one scene that doesn't really feel like it belongs in there. And I feel like I wanted to see more of that. It just really wasn't well developed. This war, this struggle between Peter Pan and the Lost Boys and the people of the magic of Neverland versus the reality and the adults trying to take it for like budget crisis. What a boring reason to use magic for real. Like money, magic, cell phones. It didn't really make sense. I also didn't like how magic was supposedly like finite. There was like a limited amount of magic, and I don't see how that can really be possible, that magic can be limited in that way. And so I just couldn't really buy into it because of some of these little developmental things with the world itself. So the world building, I guess, is kind of the thing that I didn't like as much. The Neverland world building was fine, but the world building as far as like this magic element, it just didn't really make sense. There was also some of these issues, like it's mentioned that Peter targeted Gwen and her sister Rosemary because of their father, but once they go to Neverland, this is never mentioned. Like, I know that if that was me, I'd be like, yo, Peter, what are you doing? Like, why are you coming after me? And I just didn't really, none of the like issues, like she learns all this stuff about magic and how her entire world gets shattered, and then she never questions it again. She just is like, okay. And I was like, I want these answers myself. And so I wish that I would have gotten them, I guess. I just kind of felt like it was started and then just was like, oh, forgotten about. And I didn't really like that. Although there was a lot of character development, I would have liked to kind of see more in a way. Like, I thought that Peter was kind of flat. Part of that goes along with the original because he's very much like the original Peter Pan, but I would have liked to see more about Peter. I mean, Peter is aging in this one. Every time he goes back to the normal world, he kind of ages a little bit more. And so I would have liked to see how that has taken its toll on him and its effect on him, even though he still lives in Neverland with these young kids. And you don't really get to see that as much as I would have liked it. I also, although it's Gwen's perspective, it's not. It's omnipotent point of view, and so I just would have liked to see more of Gwen's internal struggle. It didn't really feel like there were a lot of stakes. Like her struggle between wanting to stay in Neverland and go home, you see the struggle, you see how she kind of builds up to it and what she believes, but you don't really get that internal struggle that like, if I don't go home, this happens. If I go home, this happens. And I just kind of would have liked to see more about like why it mattered. Like, who cares if you stay at Neverland? It doesn't matter. Like, in the story, it didn't matter either way. And I think that just there needs to be more development with the plot and with the characters themselves about why it matters. Why do I care? Now, this book is potentially the first book in a series, so it kind of does end on a little bit of a cliffhanger. It does also have, at the end, there are some moments of teenage drinking, underage drinking, a couple bad words, and some insinuation of things, but so I just want to give you a little bit of a heads up just in case you are worried about that kind of thing. Overall, I gave this book a 3.5 star. I did really enjoy it. I got sucked into it. I loved the Neverlands part of it and the Peter Pan part of it. I love all that, so I got really excited reading it. I read through it really quickly, but I did have some pretty big issues with the development of the book itself. Now, some books that you may like that are similar to this one, I'm just gonna throw out all Peter Pan retellings, just all of them. Like, here's a bunch. Yeah, so any of those will work. I'm also gonna say The Little Prince and Tuck Everlasting because they both kind of deal with that struggle of growing up versus staying young and evoking that childhood wonder that we all kind of miss sometimes, and I feel like it's a really important part, and everyone should strive to think like a child and to just embrace life and live in the moment rather than getting so caught up in the humdrum lives of technology and boring things. Well, that is my review of The Neverland Wars by Audrey Greathouse. Let me know down in the comments if you read it or if you're planning on reading it and what you thought, and that is it for me today. I'll see you next time.